I love Phil so much. Phil is this guy that on Twitter, he basically gives out concept drawings, renderings, like every day. Just some random nugget. The other day he posted about the droid landing ship. Well, look at this. Phil Szostak tweets out just this week this image of Luke Skywalker, and it proves that Luke Skywalker's twist in The Last Jedi was planned from the very beginning. And if you're looking at that image on your screen, you can see he looks like a samurai, has a hair bun, Luke with a hair bun. This is taken from back when George was still working on his sequel trilogy. This was before selling this baby off to Disney, and he gave the Fabulouso. We actually have a quote here. We don't have a graphic for this, so we'll just keep looking at this beautiful image here. But the quote is, "My first image I made for Star Wars Force Awakens. This was January of 2013. Luke was being described as Colonel Kurtz type of hiding from the world in a cave. I got the George Lucas Fabulouso. How do you say that word? Fabulouso.
Fabulouso?
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Kind of sounds like a Harry Potter spell. On it to boot. I don't know. I'm reading the quote, and it's actually not from Phil. It's actually from the design supervisor, Christian Alzmann. But I thought that was really cool that he shared this. He actually goes on to share a couple more things. I think this is the interesting point. At this point in the story, 30 years after the fall of the Empire, Luke has gone to a dark place. He always had this potential dark side within him, being that his father was Darth Vader. So he's really struggling with that. And he ended up secluding himself in this Jedi temple on a new planet, and he's just there meditating, reassessing his whole life. Gradually, over the arc of the movie, he rediscovers his vitality and comes back to himself. So we're getting a lot of insight into what Luke was going to be doing in the sequel trilogy had George Lucas followed through and done it himself, at least penning it. And it's pretty similar, I would say, to what we got with The Last Jedi. Obviously, well, you could actually say there was that moment where Luke in The Last Jedi fell to the dark side and, considered, harming Kylo. But this what's presented here from Phil's tweets suggests that he did that experimentation with the dark side that we got in the EU. It burned him, and he goes back and really reflects on the Force. And that being the key difference, right, Jesse? Because in The Last Jedi, we get a Luke that has cut himself off from the Force.
Yeah.
Are you excited about this? Does this make you conflicted? Like, do you wish you would have seen this version of Luke on screen as opposed to what we got in The Last Jedi?
Definitely. I always would love to see a different take, kind of thing. I know a lot of people disgruntled with, what's been dubbed Angry Luke or Cranky Luke.
I love Cranky Luke.
But I actually kind of enjoyed, especially, if you watch the deleted scenes, he tries to pull a very dark humor joke on Rey, and he finds it absolutely hilarious is when oh my God, they're raiding the village, you got to go save them, kind of thing. And she goes rushing off and gets there and realizes that the natives are basically throwing this bonfire shindig and everything. And he's just laughing about it, and she's upset. She's like, you think this is, a joke kind of thing. But I kind of, that should have been left to the movie, but it's just, yeah, this would have been interesting interesting take too. And it would have been neat to see if they would have filmed it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes some movies, what was it? I Am Legend with Will Smith, where they had the alternative ending, and everything,
which was almost just slightly better than the terrible movie that was.
Yeah, it was one of those things where it's okay, well, both endings were kind of good, but I kind of liked the one that didn't actually make it to the theater.
Well, I want to show a graphic, and David, I want you to start talking about how you react to this version of Luke. But we have this image, and it compares what we got in The Last Jedi to this rendering that we got here from Phil on Twitter. And there are some similarities. I probably should have included the image of Luke before, non-Force projection Luke, because those are very similar. The only difference is Luke doesn't have a hair bun, but this is just kind of a comparison of what we would have gotten and what we got. I loved, by the way, Force projection Luke. That's Luke Skywalker I always dreamt of, seeing what he did. David, I
don't want any Luke Skywalker that has a man bun.
Really?
No.
You don't like the samurai? I feel like there was such a great ode to all the samurai films that originally influenced George.
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
You don't like the idea that
I don't like the man bun. No, it is completely superficial.
Well, I was
It
going
is
to say, can you
100%
talk more
superficial.
about how he like secluded himself to study the Force, or the fact that he experimented with the dark side? Because I think that to me is very exciting. I kind of thought that's where they were going to go with the Last Jedi, because there was so much of that investigated with the EU.
I can take or leave him studying the dark side and figuring that out. To me, there's the light side, there's the dark side. Luke had the choice to join his father, to join the Emperor, and he chose the light side. And to me, that's kind of it. Maybe you look into different ways the light side can be beneficial, but to me, that's the end of his dealings with the dark side. I like the good Luke Skywalker that we had, who figured that out with his father and saw his father's sacrifice and learned from his father's mistakes and moved on from that. But I'm going to go back and say that I really don't like the man bun, and I really don't want any Luke Skywalker with a man bun.
Well, if there's one thing that we've established here, that David just does not like modern
the man
trends.
bun. Nope.
Does not like it. But what do you think? Let's leave the man bun out of this conversation. I want you to tell us what you think about this original vision for Luke. I personally love this artist rendering that we got here. I also like the backstory, learning about Luke exploring the dark side, and there was nothing to say that they couldn't still show Luke experimenting with the dark side. There's a 20 to 30 year gap in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens that we don't know really much of anything about.
And if they're starting to pump out TV programs for the Disney Plus that are going to be kind of movie quality, there's a chance we may get Mark Hamill come into the small screen.
God, I hope they give him a man bun. Let us know what you think in the comments down below.